Hello. Hi. If you are seeing this, then that means I have thrown caution to the wind and I'm letting the unhingedness fly free on my channel. It is pre-holiday, meaning Thanksgiving, at an undisclosed time and location. Just kidding. We're in my office. Behind me, and I'll get a better shot of it in a minute, is every piece of makeup that I own, minus tools, so minus brushes, eyelash curlers, that type, sponges, that type of thing. My video that just went up today is me talking about like the feelings that my no-buy has given me thus far in like the first 3 months or so. And also I have a project looming over me, which is decluttering the closet in my office, and it has gone through many changes. I haven't done an updated video on it, but it is overrun, and the thought of doing that project is so overwhelming, and part of that directly ties into makeup. So I'm feeling a little overrun in general, and it's preventing me from completing some projects. And that brain dump that I gave you on how my no-buy has been feeling, I also brain dumped to, I think I mentioned Hope Ms. Tom, I brain dumped it to my friend Chelsea. Clearly it's on the brain. And I was taking a shower, hence my appearance, and I was just like, let's go through every single piece of it. And I don't know exactly what this video is going to bring, like how it's going to translate necessarily, and I don't have a plan. I just know that I needed to gather, and this is the gremlin in my brain conducting the train today, which is bring everything, every piece that you own, and see what we can let go of. And I've also come up, I think, with a plan for how I want to store this, and it's going to free up so much space in my closet for books and things that need to live in there, for the overall plan for my office. So to give you a quick tour of what we're looking at, I've got my makeup museum box here. So this is all of the makeup I've kept over the years that if I were to open a museum or just stroll down memory lane, it's things that, yes, I've probably used. Some is not used, but it's things that are near and dear to my heart, and we can do a full video on what's in there if that makes any of you happy, the thought of that. But I have that. Then I have in the box here everything that was in my vanity. So this is everything that was in my vanity, and then this back is everything that was in my closet. Now you can see this is the stuff that was in my closet that was in the Refer vanity holders. This is what I put in my reference bin when I did my first declutter going into this no-buy. And it was things that maybe were expired or things that I wanted to hold on to so that I could reference swatch against for my videos. And I want to take a good hard look at this bin in this process because I don't want to hold on to anything that's not going to serve me, and the anxiety of me not having something to swatch is crazy pants. Like, I don't want to hold on to that fear anymore, and the direction that I want to take my channel in for the permanent future is not conducive to me being a library of makeup. There's no part of me that wants my house overrun. This is overrun. And while we're on the topic of that, I do want to address that I have been collecting makeup since 2009. Some of that is evidenced in the museum box. A lot of these purchases probably happened in the last 6 years, so 2018 to now. This is not necessarily a normal amount of makeup. It is a hobby of mine. I am a collector, clearly by my museum box. However, I don't want to have to manage all these tiny pieces and this clutter everywhere, and so we are going to get down and dirty and figure all this out and come up with a plan and a storage solution. I probably should start with, or actually no, let's start with palettes, because I pulled out palettes that are empty that I want to keep, and some of these actually do have products in there. So I have 2 highlighters from Salt. This is one of the original palettes from Salt, and then I have the smaller one too, which this has 4 products in it. I am going to be shocked if these products are not bad. They smell a little a little strange. So I have the 4 products there. I did really love the contour and wasn't mad at the bronzer, but the contour has the biggest dip in it, you'll see. It's not that I don't think the products are good. The products are good if it's the type of makeup you want to wear, the finish you want to wear, and you're okay with it not lasting all day. None of those things really apply to me. This is perfect. I see why it's perfect for artists because it is very no makeup. And I think it would be absolutely stunning for a shoot, but it's not going to be like a full day thing. And it also tends to break me out when I wear it multiple days in a row. So I don't like the products for me, although I definitely see the target audience that these would be perfect for. However, what I do love are these palettes. They're the nicest magnetic palettes that I have come across. They're Saffiano leather. I don't think she still makes these. If she does, they'll be linked, but they're just absolutely stunning. Mine is covered in glitter from duochromes, but I would like to potentially start using these for the conversation I mentioned about using more refills and like using this for travel. If I am using refillable products, it'd be easy to just pop them all in here. So I'm going to keep these and I'm going to get rid of the pans because they are quite old and I don't feel right passing that on to someone. I do love this contour, but what else is really nice about having a YouTube channel, hello, is that I can talk about these things and have them preserved on a video and feel the need not to talk about them again. And I do have these swatched. I have 2 videos on Salt and New York products, so go check those out if you're interested for swatches. All right, next up in terms of palettes, I have this Fit Glow palette and I have 2 powders in here. I didn't love these powders and I never reached for it after I purchased it. The palette is fairly nice. However, I don't think I need to hang on to this, and I do think I have someone who might like these powders, so we're gonna put that in the giveaway pile. And then I have oh my god, I have an old Kjaer Weis palette. I will absolutely be keeping this palette. This is another palette that I absolutely love in the sense that I want beautiful palettes that are long lasting and refillable. However, you can see I used most of this up. This was pre my YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure that's mold around it because I just haven't touched it and cleaned it. So I'm going to have to pop this out, give it a good scrub, but I will be keeping it because if they ever did come out with powders that fit this, I absolutely would love it. And this palette itself will go into the makeup museum until they make a product that I want to use in it. But that needs cleaned up for real, for real. All right, then I have a Makeup Geek empty palette. I kept this because I do like the size of it. It's not that nice, but I'm gonna put it in the maybe because I'll hang on to it for now, but could be gone. And last but certainly not least, I have Mob Beauty. So I have a video all on this, and I think it was just ahead of its time because no one was really interested in Mob at the time. It has since gone viral, and a lot of creators have now talked about it. I love the ethos of the brand. I love what they're doing. What I will say is some of the products are not a hit for me. I'm not a huge fan of creams right now, like I said. These 2 are powders, these are creams, and then these are powder, but they are like kind of cake eyeliner type of deal. I do love it, and I will be keeping this for my makeup museum. However, the only place that this brand misses the mark for me is that I don't love all the formulas. I wasn't a big fan of the foundation. It just didn't sit nice on my skin. And then I would love it, especially since they're committed to the refills and being environmentally friendly, if they would come out with some like more luxe packaging, which I don't think fits the current branding for them. But it is just, it's a nice thick plastic. I will give them that. It is nice. It's just, I think right now I want luxe. Give me luxe. They could even do that and still keep this as an option, but makeup museum. Okay, moving right along into my reference bin. I don't even know where to start because while the things are in here that I mentioned before, there is also just random things that I wanted to talk about eventually, whether mostly fails. And exactly, Frank, we're not in the business of keeping things to take up space in this house, and I'm pumping myself up because I need to be brutal here, and I can do this. I am going to pass on these Milk blush sticks. They're just not my favorite color, and they're also not a super great pleasure to interact with. They are very small but mighty. There's a decent amount of product in these. They are $25 each, and it is such sticker shock for something this tiny for reference. However, I was watching a creator talk about makeup packaging. She's in the industry as someone who works on makeup packaging, and she did mention that this is a heck of a lot less plastic to create from raw materials, so it is in itself more environmentally friendly than like the Merit Foundation stick. Even though they want to do refillable, and let's say it was refillable in the future, it still takes a lot of plastic to create in the beginning, if that makes sense. So that's cool. But I have a niece who can make great use of these, so let's get them some use. Beautypie blushes, I'm going to be giving those away. I wanted to keep these for swatching, but I don't really know why. I'm about to break up with Beautypie. That might have to be a separate video, but I don't need to hold on to these. It is luxe packaging. The colors just never quite were my favorite, so passing those along. Same with the powder version for Beautypie. Just love it, and this is a little bit better of packaging, but they don't make the refills anymore, so I don't understand the point that they were trying to make with this, so bye. My Merit products are in here because they're in a little bit of a limbo. I am going to take them out of the reference bin and put them to the side as a reckoning pile that I just need to either do more research on or try on my face again to make a final decision. So we'll put all those Merit products to the side. I wanted to talk to you guys about this because don't use these on your feet. This is from an Olive and June pedicure set that I've never used. You will hurt yourself. You can cut yourself, use a diamond file, or use a fine grit file, but don't use these cheese graters. Okay, PSA over, bye. Okay, this one hurts a little bit because I'm not sure what to do with it. I was going to put all the Beautypie blush stuff, but I want to try this again, so that's going to the reckoning pile. Wet n Wild, coming off of my last video, you used to have my favorite eyeshadow formula. These ones are just not it for me anymore. But then again, it's been a while since I tried these. Yeah, I'm over it. Wet n Wild, bring back the 2010s. Okay, let's just quickly round out Beautypie and be done with it. I have a powder bronzer. Again, it wasn't one that I kept reaching for, so I don't love it. Packaging is, again, nicer on this one. It's not refillable. I don't think that they sell this anymore. That's like one of my biggest hang-ups with Beautypie is they just on a whim decide to stop carrying things, and you just never know what's happening with them. So again, we'll find it at home so it can get used. Then I have the Triple Beauty Perfect Glowing Powder. I do not really use highlighter, so I think I can find that another home. I have another blush. This is like a hot pink, and I have a different hot pink in my collection that I keep. Another cream blush. And then we have an eyeshadow palette that is very, very beautiful, but it's not colors that I like wearing on my eyes. This packaging is just like Charlotte Tilbury. It's very, very nice, and I like the coloring of it better, but I can find this a home as well. And then we have the cream bronzer that they came out with. They still do have this, and it is not bad. Certainly not bad. However, again, it's not one that I reach for constantly, so it's gonna go to. I have these nail clips to soak off gel because I used to do my own gel. That's just garbage. I don't even know why I'm showing you that, but it's just garbage at this point. I'm actually doing a lot better than I thought I would at this point, so that is very, very exciting. All right, I have one more Mob Beauty to talk about. I'll end up keeping this palette, but I am going to throw away what's inside. These are the cream eyeshadows. They're no longer good. I didn't like these because anytime I used them as a base for my eyeshadow, they got so... They're called clay, and it makes sense, but they dry out on the skin and they get chunky. And as a dehydrated skin person, it's just a recipe for disaster every time. And it's a shame because the colors are so beautiful, but they're just not for me. And these are quite old, so I will keep the palette and I will toss these. All right, let's rapid fire some highlighter highlighter bronzer. I have the Rare Beauty highlighter. I did get quite a bit of use out of this for using in my inner corner. It wasn't my favorite inner corner. You can kind of see the dip there. And I have since acquired palettes that have the inner corner that I'm looking for. So I'm going to pass this. Then I also have Phytosurgent's Divine Daylight and Golden Warmth. So I have the Golden Warmth bronzer and the Divine Daylight. I wanted to go a little deeper, so this is shade 3. It's nice, but it doesn't work for me, and I have people in my life who I would love to try this, so I'm going to give them a whirl and keep my other 2 shades that I have. And then Divine Daylight is the one that I use under my eye, so I'm not sure why it's in here. I'm going to put that with my vanity stuff. Then I have the Well People bronzer. This is in Golden Hour. This is the one that I thought would be a better shade match. It's not exactly what I want, so again, I can find someone who can use that. And then for Patrick Ta, I'm going to be really torn on this. This is the contour bronzer in She's Statuesque. And as you can see, I did really enjoy this contour, and I did enjoy this bronzer. There's a dip, but it's a little bit harder to see. I think, and it's quite old, but I think this might go into, I need to think about it a little bit more. Because so far we only have 2 of those, and that feels doable. I'm holding on to an old condensate, and I don't know why. I cracked all of the lid because I used this for years, and this is my everyday blush, and I used it so often I can't even begin to tell you. And it has a dip, but it looks like I barely use anything. These just last forever, and I did end up getting a replacement because the lid, like, obviously it got so much use that I obliterated it with my Hulk hands, so that's gonna go in the trash for now. And I have the other one waiting. I have this, which is pretty much empty, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. It's the Stila Stay All Day dual-ended eyeliner. I didn't love the white formula in this, but this is a really good one. However, it's like $30, and I do think you can get a better deal, and if you're gonna spend this much, you could get a luxe one like Chanel. You know what I mean? So yeah, goodbye. Good riddance, goodbye. Let's talk base products. So I have the Perfect Cover BB Cream by Misha. This is, I believe it's K or J Beauty. It is a nice BB cream, and the undertone is quite gray, but in a lovely neutral way. It's not a perfect match for my skin, but it was interesting to try. It's like a moussey texture almost, but it is SPF 42. I have number 13 here. It's too thick. I can feel it on my skin, and it's also a product that works best with fingers. Like, it gets messy really quick with a brush, and maybe you could use a sponge, but it's going to shear it out quite a bit, and you definitely can't rely on it for SPF then. So it was fun. It was like $13. I'm glad I tried it, but it's not for me, and I do not know a single person who in my life who this would match, and it's quite old, so I'm just going to toss it. All right, then I acquired the 3 of these as declutters from other people, and I had gotten quite a bit of use out of the LYS, and I do like it, and I will think of it fondly, but I'm just ready to get rid of this. I'm sure it's quite old, and it has a 6-month, holy cow. It has a 6-month shelf life. I don't know if it smells good or not, but I think I'm just ready to rid myself of that. And then Rituel Defee 3-drop weightless serum foundation. Again, I got this through a declutter, and I haven't quite used it, and I know for sure that this is super, super old. I might see if anyone in my life wants to try it that doesn't mind that it's a little bit older, but I just don't think it's something that I'm interested in because I'm not a finger application person, and I don't know, I'm just happy with the foundations that I'm going to end up keeping anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and pass this. I just feel overwhelmed, and I have enough to not run out, so we're passing that along. And then I have the Yummy Skin Serum Foundation from Danessa Myricks in 1P. Again, I just don't think I'm a serum foundation person, and it's scented, like essential oils, which I have very sensitive skin, so there's a potential that it might irritate my face skin. It is really nice. However, It's like a sensory thing. I don't like that smell. I don't like spa-like smells, and I'm so sorry, Chelsea. I want to try this and I want to love it, but I have a niece who's going to absolutely be so appreciative of this. Okay, I have Thrive Causemetics lip liner in khaki. I think I'm holding on to this for nostalgia reasons, and it's so small that I'm just going to put it in the makeup museum, so we'll keep that there. I have 2 Wonder Glosses from Beautypie. I used to love this formula, and the smell was decent, but the smell goes off in these quite quickly, and I do love these shades, so I'm actually going to keep them in this reference bin, and we'll get to the last of this in just a minute. But I have this mini Charlotte Tilbury powder. I do want to keep this around. It might be nice to keep in my purse, but I want to try it again. And then I have a Trixie lip gloss and snow cone. I can find another home for this. I'm just not going to use it, and lips are where I really need to declutter. I was decluttered this Emi Collet from someone, and I'm just not interested in trying a stick cream blush, so that's going to find another home. The Faded Clementine that is no longer available from M Cosmetics, which is such a shame because it's my favorite orange color that I've ever used, is going to stay in either the makeup museum or in my reference bin, so I'll just toss it back in for now. And then the Pretty Smart Concealer, which I've been really liking, it's just too dark, and it's only going to get much, much worse in this winter, and I did get quite a lot of use out of it, and I have videos using it if you're interested, but it's time to say goodbye and find another home. Then the last bit of this before we can wrap up my reference bin is eyeshadow palettes. And if you can see, this is also a stack of eyeshadow palettes, and this is also a mini stack of eyeshadow palettes. So the time has come. You know what I mean? I have 2 Smashbox palettes, which is so funny because I was so excited when I first got my channel, and I went out and bought these, and I have it in Punked and Minimalist. So up top is Punked right here, and then Minimalist here, and they're cute, and I think they're perfect for my niece who's just getting into makeup. But I bought these because one subscriber said they had these and would like me to do reference videos, and then when I asked them what type of videos I should do, I didn't get a response, and so I don't know, this was just me being really excited to have makeup friends on the internet, so I'm happy to pass this joy on to my nieces who are getting into makeup. That is no shade on who commented that. That was just to tell you how excited I get talking to all of you. I have a Huda Beauty Mauve Obsessions. This is quite old, and I just loved this color story, and I hate this formula. And now that I have this on camera and can show you the color story, it's so beautiful. I was so excited for this shade. This is not a good formula, and this is back before I think they really perfected their formula. So I'm happy to let go of this one and see if some of the younger nieces that I have can make it work because it's not super pigmented. And then I have here an Aether quad that they used to make. I don't know if they came back out with these or not. If they do, I will say something in the comments, but this is the Topaz. I just didn't use these shades, to be honest. I thought I would because I love greens, but I only love very specific greens. And so, I don't know. What's this brown look like? Yeah, I like my other Aether, but I don't think this has a place, and I don't need to hang on to it. So again, maybe I can give it to someone who will use it. And then we only have 3 left. So from Kaleidos, I have, does it say? It doesn't say what palette it is, but again, the color story got me, and I don't like the Kaleidos formula. It's not for me. This shade I'm really drawn to, but I think I have that shade somewhere else in my collection, and if not, and if I can't find a home for this, I'll just depot it. But for now, let's see if I can give it to someone who will get use out of it. Then I have the Glaminatrix, what is this called? Nearly Neutrals palette. I've used this a couple times on my channel. Gorgeous color story. You can kind of see the use. Absolutely gorgeous color story, and it's going to be really hard for me to make a decision on this one because it's so pretty. And if I want to play around, these are perfectly neutral, and muted. Almost said mutual. Neutral, muted, and just tones that you don't see every day, like this green. My issue with this is every time I get in this palette, all I want to do is play in these glittery shades because they're gorgeous. However, these fall out and crumble into my eyes, and I have such sensitive eyes that it just doesn't work. So I think this might go into the makeup museum because I just love this color story. And then I have the Ghost Town palette, which I have a video on. Again, this color story is just magnificent, and I love looking at it, and I'm inspired looking at it, but it's not a color story that I wear every day. And so I'm going to keep it, but it's going to go in my, like, play kit. And that's all. So what's left in my reference bin is Fit Glow lip serums and the Beauty lip glazes that are all extremely old and all do not smell like they should smell at this point. There's something holding me back from getting rid of them, and I don't know why. So I'm gonna hold on to them for now because they're taking up very little space, and we'll see what else goes in here. But I'm tempted to just start throwing like the play around stuff in here. That way things that I just play with can stay in a basket, and then everything else will go into my vanity. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, so we have Purgatory hanging out here. Let's talk about the makeup palettes that are not currently in my vanity. I have Wayne Goss, the Luxury Eye Palette, and this one is in Tourmaline, and it is very difficult to get open. I wanted to love the Wayne Goss eyeshadows so much, and I thought this was the perfect palette, but I think this is perfect for my sister, so I'm gonna give that to her. Then I have some of these TKB trading palettes that we can just tackle all at once. I prefer these over something like my Adept palette because I don't tend to reach for this honkin' thing a lot, and it's just easier for me to have ideas fleshed out. So I do like the TKB for that. This is more of storage, whereas this is like I'm actively making palettes and using them. They are really nice palettes for that. They're just thin cardboard. They're nothing like super special, but you can poke everything out easily. And they're stunning. So these are all of my larger pan duochromes and Give Me Glow shadows. So I have Give Me Glow here, JD Glow, which I use a lot, the Unexpected shade, and I have some Terra Moons here, and I also have Chaos Cosmetics. I love all of these, and the reason I don't keep it in my vanity is it is extremely messy, as you can see, and I like glitter on my eyes, and that's it. I don't like glitter everywhere else, so I don't keep them in my vanity, and which means I'm not reaching for them as much, actually. So I'm obviously keeping this, but I need to figure out where I want to store it because dang, it is so messy. It is so messy. Then keeping with that theme, I have my Shine by SD Oil Slick Eye that I have a video on. That's all of these iridescent shades. And then a couple from Terra Moons down here in the purples and the blue. So again, keeping this, love it. They're just so, look how messy. That's crazy, but it's so pretty. Then I have my Shine by SD Seeking Shifts collab, which I absolutely love. And then a couple more. I think these are mostly Terra Moons. I really like Terra Moons formula a lot. And lastly, I'm not sure the brand of these, but see, this is where I think we get into like having that shade from Kaleidos or something close enough. And I'm pretty much covered with a lot of colors here, so I feel good getting rid of that Kaleidos and keeping my duochromes, but I'm gonna set them off to the side because I need to figure out how to store these. If you have tips for storing super messy eyeshadows, I have a feeling it's unavoidable, but if you know, let me know. I have my two Hindash palettes, the Beautopsy and the Monochromance. So I don't think you're gonna be able to see, but I have gotten quite a lot of use out of both of these, and I love these. And I need them more at the forefront of my mind because it is nice to have all of those powders, matte powders, around. Yeah, you can see quite a lot of use. So I'm going to keep these. I do want them to be around my vanity. So again, I have a Give Me Glow palette, and I have two shades that didn't quite fit into the TKB. And these are also from a duping journey of old Wet n Wild Lust palette that I brought up in that video that I was talking about. So actually, I'm going to grab my Salt New York palette just so it's a little bit smaller to keep around, and then I'm going to give away this empty palette. I'm gonna have to wipe these out, but that way I can start keeping the nicer palettes and getting that nicer experience on a daily basis with some shadows. These purples are things that I love, and we'll probably see that again in this journey, but that can go now. I have this melt palette that my friend Chelsea so graciously got me. It's one of the Dia de los Muertos. It's one side of that. Again, the color story. This is going to go with things that I need to play around with because I have yet to make a full look with that, and I really want to. I have two Lawless palettes. I do love the Lawless formula. This is the Malibu palette. Such a great palette. I really do love it. Even though this feels very random, it's a lot of fun and wearable to play with. And then the Lilac palette I also really love. I think I'm going to keep these and put them in the reference bin. I think there will come a day where I will want to shop my stash for these again, and I'm not ready to give them up because I do love the formula, so they'll go there. Then I have an Aether Beauty palette. This is the Manifest palette, I believe. Again, another beautiful color story, but one that I'm only going to like play with. So again, I'll put that in the reference bin where I can play around. And then two from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Again, this is a, well, let me pause. I have the Nouveau and Rose Metals palettes. The Nouveau is closer to the old formula that I absolutely love. And it is a beautiful palette, and I need to pull that out more, so I would like that to go in my vanity. And then the Rose Metals, I love this color story so much, and I exceptionally love this haze shade. This is what I was wearing in my olive video that people have asked about. It's gorgeous, and it's why I have this palette still, because I've had to repress some of these. You can kind of tell, Haze and Rosefire, because these shimmers are such a soft, like creamy but crumbly formula, and it drives me nuts, and it's definitely a formula change. The mattes are still good, just as good in this palette, but I do kind of want to keep it in my vanity because this is something that I would wear every day, and I do quite like it. And then last, but certainly not least, in the palettes is Pat McGrath. I have the Divine Rose 2, or no, just Divine Rose, and then the Utopian Dream. These are so expensive, and I do think these will go, I don't know. I think I need to play with these again to understand if I want to keep them for the formula. If I don't want to keep them for the formula, I'm feeling very strongly that someone would be so elated to have these, and who am I to just have them collect dust? You know what I mean? Like, it would be nice to give them a happy life, so to speak. I've never taken the protective stickers off. Like, I don't know. Will these be in the museum? Will these be gifted? Or will I love these? We need to figure that out. So my testing pile is still not overwhelming, which is good. And then in my Adept palette, I have more duochromes, which I sorely do not need. And what else I have in here is a mixture of Colored Rain and Jaclyn Hill's first palette. The collection goes back a ways. There's also, I think this one is MAC Yogurt, and there might be an Anastasia or two in here, and then Makeup Geek. So I'm gonna have to do like a whole separate thing with singles eyeshadow. So I'm going to... Mira, let me see you. Oh, it's okay, Bubba. Come here. Yeah, it's just your dad. Okay, Frankie has joined us. Yes, you have. You're so nice. He's smelling my coffee breath. Frankie has joined us. I'm going to put this in kind of like the reckoning pile because that's going to have to be probably, like, we can just do a whole separate video. This is my fur baby, Frankie boy. And I think this is... It just collapsed in my arms. This is a sign that we're going to do a part 2. So I hope this was, I don't know, entertaining at the very least. I have a lot of makeup. Actually, let's talk. We're just going to chat because I have Frank with me and we just covered the last bit of that. I'm going to call it. I'm looking as unhinged as I feel, essentially. And listen, there's a lot of makeup and I'm rehoming a lot of makeup. I'll show the piles at the very end of us doing this, but I do think for my own sanity of editing and things, I'm going to cut the video here and we'll resume in the second part. Here, everybody deserves the cuteness. Frankie got his bangs trimmed. I'm all over the place. But my goal is to not throw away a lot and to rehome as much as I can. But this is years and years of accumulation of a hobby and a coping skill. And this is not the type of consumer that I am inherently and that I want to be. And also, you heard I do swaps with people. So I've inherited a lot of makeup as well. I get gifted a lot of makeup from people in my life because they know I love it so much. But I'm just at a point where I'm not experimenting enough to make sense of a collection this big, and I'm just ready to have it be much more manageable and it to all fit in my vanity. And I'm always going to keep a little makeup museum because this is one of my top special interests. So that said, I'm rambling. I will hopefully see you in part 2.